Well, Scotland's First Minister, Alex Salmond, joins us now live from Callander in Stirlingshire. Alex Salmond, you've said that he hasn't breached the licence conditions he was released on, but there was no contact with the Lockerbie bomber and his family for 1 week. How is that not a breach of his licence conditions?
Well, it's not a breach of his licence conditions. The licence conditions establish regular contact. He wasn't actually due to contact East Renfrewshire Council for some days yet. In fact, we contacted him over the weekend through his family, of course, and he's not in breach of his licence conditions. And frankly, speculation on Sky News or anywhere else, whether it be the Daily Telegraph or the Times or the BBC, saying that he has proven to be both ill-informed and completely inaccurate.
Well, he was given 3 months to live when he was released, and one of the victims' families has said that the Lockerbie bomber is now a source of embarrassment to Scotland. What's your reaction to that?
Well, another of the victims' families, Dr. Jim Swire, has said this morning, talking about claims from United States lawyers or senators, or for that matter, the Foreign Secretary a few days ago, or the Deputy Prime Minister, to extradite him, has described, Dr. Jim Swire has described these claims as monstrous. Now, I wouldn't use language like that. All I would say to you is the idea that all of the victims' families were of the same opinion in this matter is simply untrue. That many of the victims' families supported the decision 2 years ago to send them back to Libya on compassionate grounds. Many of the victims' families did not support that decision. I've never criticised any victims' families, but I would point out to suggest that they're all of the same opinion is completely inaccurate.
What about criticism of the decision itself to release him? When he was released, he was given 3 months to live. That was in 2009. Would you at least admit that he was released prematurely?
No, I wouldn't. And you're wrong about that as well, incidentally. The 3 months provision was said at the time by Kenny McCaskill to be an estimate, the best estimate that doctors could make. It was actually on the point of release that he could live sooner, he could have died sooner, he could have lived longer. That was actually said at the time. It was never presented as a definitive judgment. How could it be?
But no one expected him to live 3 years longer.
Well, actually, it's 2 years, but let's leave that to one side. Everybody watching this programme, from their own life experience, from relatives, from friends, knows that estimating exactly how long somebody is going to live when they're dying of terminal prostate cancer is extremely difficult, and it happens all of the time. It's not a comparable case in terms of the gravity of the crimes committed, but you may remember that Ronnie Biggs was released before Mr Megrahi on the same provisions under English law of an estimate of 3 months to live, and as far as I know is still alive. So, you know, these things are always difficult to estimate definitively. What we've always said, and what is proven through every inquiry to be correct, that the Scottish Government, almost alone among people acting in this, have always acted in due faith with due process of law. And perhaps if we all followed due process of law, as the Scottish Government have done, and ceased the international politicking around this, then we'd all be in a much better place. And in particular, at the present moment, the only people with any authority in this matter are the Scottish Government who have jurisdiction on the matter. He is a Scottish prisoner under licence. And the new Libyan Transitional Council, who are the new duly constituted legal authority in Libya. We have never had and do not have any intention of asking for the extradition of Mr Megrahi. It's quite clear from the Libyan Transitional Council that following their own laws, they had never any intention of agreeing to such extradition, and therefore, for that matter, the views of American senators, of American lawyers, of the UK Foreign Secretary, of the Deputy Prime Minister, have no bearing on this issue because they do not have any locus whatsoever.
The due process of law has been followed, as you suggest, but the Lockerbie family still want answers. Is there a chance that you would support any idea of Megrahi, as he slips away and seems to be dying, being questioned further in Libya?
Well, I think you've seen the CNN pictures as I have. I think the idea that he would be available for interview in any recognisable form is pretty far-fetched, and I'm sure most people in common humanity would agree with that. I think there are matters that still can be progressed on the Lockerbie bombing, and let's talk about two of these in particular. Let's talk about the real world and things that actually matter in terms of progressing this case. Firstly, we hold information on the Scottish Criminal Case Review Commission full statement of reasons to the Scottish Appeal Court. An appeal which would have gone forward, indeed should have gone forward, if the last United Kingdom government hadn't started their international politics and deals in the desert and prisoner transfer agreements. We would like to publish that full statement of reasons, which will give valuable information on this issue. And secondly, the Scottish Crown Office, again following due process of law, have made it absolutely clear that if any other evidence emerges, any other people are available to give evidence, any other indictments are possible, then they stand ready to follow these leads. And it means that this investigation has still been open. It's been open for the last 20 years. And any other indictments could still be served to anybody if relevant information comes forward.
Alex Salmond in Stirlingshire, thank you very much for talking to us on Sky News.
A great pleasure. Thank you very much.